Welcome to the Hank Cisco Show, ladies and gentlemen. Don't touch that dial. This is going to be a home visit. Now, doctors don't come to your house anymore now, so we're making a home delivery. And so my guest today is Dr. Vincent Muscarella, who is a foot doctor. I call him a foot doctor, but they have another big title, name of a foot doctor. But going back 100 years, it was a foot doctor. But
Right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, and I appreciate the fact that he just left Chestnut Hill Hospital, right? He just had operated on someone, and he rushed down here for this show. So I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming on here.
Always a
So,
pleasure,
Doctor,
man.
we want to talk about things that can be helpful to the people as far as your feet. Your feet are so important, you know, especially if you're up there. Homegrown Norristown resident.
Born and raised here in Norristown. I actually was born in Montgomery Hospital. It's beginning to close soon. We have a new hospital coming. I attended Holy Savior School, where I met you many years
You're
ago.
in the safety patrol.
Safety patrol. Bishop Kenrick High School, which is now also not
That's
there.
gone. Everybody's leaving.
Everybody's
you.
gone, but I stayed around.
The hospital, the school.
Nothing, but I did attend Widener University in Chester.
Oh, okay.
for my
Is that still there?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Still doing well. And I then went to Temple for my medical school, pediatric medical school.
Okay. So now you practice. What hospitals? Are doctors assigned to hospital? I don't know. What's the
You
scoop
don't
on that?
assign it. You actually choose the hospitals you like to work. The hospitals are usually in your area of your office, so it's convenient for patients to go to. I'm on staff at Montgomery Hospital, Mercy Suburban Hospital, Sacred Heart, which is closed.
Right.
Now, as you know, Chestnut Hill, and this morning I was at Hahnemann Hospital doing some work.
So this morning in Hahnemann. I thought it was Chester Hill.
This afternoon.
This
I
afternoon.
get around.
Oh my! Oh yeah. Okay. I was gonna say you gotta get a bob and weave, right?
That's right, bob and weave a little bit.
So why did you become a foot doctor? Why not a dentist?
Well, I don't want to look at someone's mouth every day, but there's nothing wrong with that. I always wanted to go into medicine. And an interesting thing happened. I was running track for Bishop Kenrick High School, and I developed severe back pain, very, very bad back pain. And at that time, we didn't have MRIs, or CAT scans were kind of new, and the doctors who thought I may have had, scared my mother, thought I may have had some type of spine tumor or some type of condition. So
Everybody jumped to conclusions.
we went to conclusions. Here we found out it's from my feet. Flat feet cause the back pain.
Flat feet.
Flat feet.
And how'd you
So I
get
got
flat
interested.
feet?
Born with them. They're inherited.
Oh, yeah?
They run in families,
Oh.
and they create a lot of problems. They create knee problems, they create hip problems and back problems, besides foot problems.
Oh.
So I became interested in looking into that field of medicine, and I also like the idea of, in podiatric medicine, I see patients from birth, I see kids that are just born, all the way
Right.
until they die. So I have a large range
Right.
of age that you don't always see in other specialties. And I like to do surgery. I like to work with my hands. That's from my Italian training.
Right. Yeah. That's right. Mangia, right?
Mangia, you
Making
know.
spaghetti and all.
That's right. Italy, they put all those stone masons, and everybody built things. So I
Right.
like to work
Everything
with
your
my
hands. Yeah. And now arches.
Yes.
It's helpful. I know I wear an arch.
Oh,
and
absolutely. Very, very helpful.
And I was having like pains in my legs and around the hip or so, and I got an arch and really settled it. I mean, you know, if I take that arch out, I will notice it.
You'll notice it, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Usually people need arches because their feet tend to flatten, and that's inherited. I just saw a patient this morning. This time of year, I see a lot of patients who, weather gets changing, they want to go out and exercise more. I saw a woman this morning down in Philadelphia who just completed the Broad Street run, and she was running, had tremendous foot pain during the run. And in examining her, she had severe flat feet that caused her tendons to snap across the bones, causing the pain.
Oh,
So she needs an arch support. Bottom line is she needs an arch support.
Right. Well, you know, I don't know. I mean, I was a policeman in Norristown for 24 years, and they call policemen flat feet.
That's
You know,
right.
so I maybe because they used to walk the beat.
That's exactly
but
right.
There's no more flat-foot policemen now. They're all driving in cars and motorcycles and airplanes. You know, so.
Well, interestingly enough, in the military years ago, something came out of the military during World War II, when they'd had many of the young men would go out with their backpack for the first time and march like for hours and hours.
Yeah.
You probably, I don't know if you were in the military, you did the same thing. They developed severe foot pain, and they called them march fractures, and then they called them eventually stress fractures, and that's where the term came from, actually from these young men who developed severe pain in their feet from overdoing it, and they needed arches.
Yeah, well, I was drafted in the Army. The first time I went in the Army examination, I got turned down because I had bunions on my feet. At that time, they're being very selective. They didn't want anybody, the first wave, they didn't want anybody that's going to sit in a hospital.
That would never keep you out of the Army now.
No, but so what happened, then I started boxing professional, amateur,
sure.
and I was in the Golden Gloves, and my picture's in the front page of Philadelphia paper, going into the finals, Norristown, Hank Cisco, and the draft board called me back in and says, well, if you can fight in the ring, you can fight in the Army. Next thing you know, I'm on a train, P&W going to the Army exam. So, and then when I got in the Army, then they started packing the big heavy shoes and everything, and my feet swelled up, and
Sure.
also they put me on limited duty, and I was boxing instructor and all that. But the feet, so important. Same thing
Absolutely.
in boxing. I had problems too with an ingrown toenail. When I was boxing, my foot was going like a sear. And then it just kept growing and growing in there.
That's
And
a
you're
very
the one that straightened it out. I don't have it anymore.
Right, and that happens all the time. Take it right out of there. But that's inherited. I see sometimes children are born with them, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah?
It's inherited in the type of nail structure that they see.
With the ingrown toenail.
Ingrown toenails.
Right.
And
then-
some are caused by shoes, like you mentioned, what
Right.
you had, and sometimes with injury or pressure.
Yeah, and then bunions. I have bunions too, okay?
Yep.
You know how I got bunions?
How'd you get bunions?
Judge Cirilla, not Judge Cirilla, Judge Shurika.
Judge
His,
Shurika.
his grandfather used to sell shoes in the store, and
Okay.
then come to the house, so I like leather heels, okay? And I wanted to wear, because they made noise, but they were too tight, and I bought the shoes. I didn't care what size they were, as
Too
long as
tight.
they had leather heels, and I got bunions because they were tight. Is that one of the causes?
Well, the shoes can aggravate it. They definitely cause more problem with bunions. And we see bunions in families also. More women than men, but the shoes definitely aggravate the condition.
Yeah. Well, my father, all 4 brothers, we all worked in the shoe shop, my father. But I remember my father, he would tell these women to come in real high heels. Don't wear them high heels. You're going to ruin your back. I don't know. Now, what's the story on that?
Well,
I think
high heels
high
do.
heels, I think that can cause a problem. Throws everything out of whack, don't it?
Well, if just logically, it causes pressure in the front of the foot. Women are walking more on the ball of the foot in the front. And interestingly enough, those type of patients, the women who wear high heels all the time, develop things like hammer toes and neuromas or nerve.
Like that, yeah, because everything's pushing down there.
Pushing down, they're putting too much pressure on the small nerves in the front of their foot, and the nerves enlarge. They become very painful. Besides the fact that by wearing a high heel all the time, your Achilles tendon shrinks or shortens because
What
you're
is
not
that?
stretching.
Run that by me again.
Your Achilles tendon, the tendon behind your ankle.
Okay.
Okay, you need motion. You need to be able to use that to make your foot go up and down.
Right.
If a woman wears a high heel shoe and her heel's up all the time, the tendon tends to shorten. So when they stop wearing the high heels, they put their heel down, it's tight, it hurts.
Then it hurts, right?
hurts.
So it's all right to wear them once in a while, but constantly, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. The woman should wear them to get dressed up once in a while.
I like women that are dressed up. They have the high heels. They look nice.
Yes.
But walking on the boardwalk in Atlantic City is not a good place to
No,
wear
and every
high
day,
heels.
no, and actually many of our executive women and professionals working downtown in the offices will wear their athletic shoes or low shoes in
the
and then
office.
into the office, and then put their high heels in there.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, all right, but now, they have a hip replacement, they have a knee replacement, they have kidney replacement. Do they have ankle replacement? Have they come to that yet?
Yes, they have. In fact,
But that's late.
It's been late. It's
I
been
guess it's one of the last ones coming through.
It was one of the last ones coming through. Most of the other joints have really evolved nicely. In fact, the surgery I just did today, I put a new joint in a big toe joint, but that's been around for 50 years.
What do you mean?
or so.
Now, what do you mean?
The bunion, the big
Yeah.
toe, the bunion.
Oh, yeah.
I put a new joint in there because it was arthritic. Had arthritis in there after I fixed
Well,
the bunion.
what do you do with the arthritis? Skim it off or?
Cut it out. It's gone. Take half the joint or remove portion of the joint. But the ankle was always left behind because it's a very complicated joint.
Yeah.
And the implants that they made, the manufacturers, seem to fail all the time. There's new implants out now that are working well. And funny you mentioned about Hahnemann. I saw a patient this morning who I replaced his ankle 2 weeks ago. He's doing wonderful. Whole new ankle joint.
Yeah, well, what type of material did they use?
Usually are titanium steel, and they have some type of a soft, almost like a plastic inside
Okay.
to absorb the pressure and,
Right.
and that you walk on. That's the most difficult part of designing any implant
Right.
because you're putting so much pressure on the earth.
Yeah, I know. I have 2 hip replacements, 8 years apart. Now, the first one was metal, okay? Now, the second one, Dr. Paleo, is some kind of like, I don't know what kind of material it
It's
is.
probably a
but I
ceramic
understand
or
that
plastic.
grows in, it's porous or
Oh,
so.
it's porous. That's a good point. Some of them now have the metal portion are porous, which means they have little microscopic little holes in them. So the bone, actually your bone, grows into
Grows
the
in there.
implant and holds it. So you don't have to use cement. You don't have to use any
Oh,
kind
you
of
have
cement.
to, yeah, to keep it going, know.
Yes.
And because I tell you, 8 years, in between the 8 years, the first time it was a lot of pain, and then I had to stay in the hospital over a week or so, and then the next time, less pain and less time in the hospital, recovering sooner. So that's the advancements.
well,
now,
advancement
what are
also-
some of the advancements here in
Well,
the
what
ankle
you're talking about
or
also
feet?
with the implants, the incisions are getting smaller and smaller because the implants are getting smaller and the engineers are coming up with better ways to instrumentation to put them inside. Newer things in the feet. Well, I was asked to give a lecture actually up in University of Medicine and Dentistry in New Jersey, up in Newark, about new advances in the last 10 years. Something they want to know, what kind of surgeries don't I do as much as I used to when I went and practiced 30 years ago? And one of the advances, believe it or not, is in heel surgery for heel pain. Heel pain.
Yeah.
Years ago, people had heel pain or developed a heel spur. You probably heard people
Spur,
say
yeah.
spur.
If I remember the first time I ever heard spur, Joe DiMaggio had
Joe
a spur.
DiMaggio, very good.
The
It ended-
baseball player.
Actually, it ended his career because at that time, the surgery was so invasive, it had to open up the heel so much that it never came back, and it really crippled him almost or slowed him down that he could not
They
play
use that as
baseball.
an example sometime in your
example.
lectures?
Yes, I do use Joe DiMaggio. Actually, I do use him as an example for that reason. Nowadays, probably people with heel pain, only about 10% go to surgery because we have so many advances. Whereas there's advances in type of injectable material that we put into the heel. There's new type of electrical cautery that we put in and actually burn the tissue to stretch it. So people are getting less and less heel surgery than they ever did. So that's coming.
Yeah, and I asked Dr. Paleo, my second hip, I said, how come I didn't have as much pain after the operation? And he said something about that they insert in the intravenous, something in the intravenous that helps calm it down, the pain or whatever it was,
Well,
a technical thing.
Yeah, well, drugs have also improved and increased, but knowing Dr. Paleo as a good friend of mine, he probably just got better.
What's that?
He just got better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's it, And the guys say, oh, I want to go down and get a hip replacement. I got to go to New York. I got to go to Philadelphia. Come on. You all go to the same school, right?
Correct.
The hospital has the same material, operating room
I
and
personally
everything.
think, and that's my personal opinion, that many people sometimes, and I've worked at Center City and downtown big institutions, they're very, very, very competent people. As you said, they train downtown, then they decide to relocate and move into the suburbs. They're just as good as the people or doctors downtown.
Right. Well, all right. Now, I know you travel a lot. You go to Italy.
Yes.
Tell me something about, there's a difference in different countries as far as foot. Do you exchange ideas and knowledge?
There is an international society for foot and ankle surgery and foot conditions. And one of the biggest, believe it or not, countries that are very interested is Spain. Spain sends many of their medical students or doctors over to learn some newer techniques. And with much of the conversion of learning or speaking Spanish in this country, it seems to work very well. Canada has an interesting thing. Canada has schools for podiatric medicine and surgery, but they are somewhat lacking behind in technology and the amount of what they can do there. So many of the Canadian students will transfer into American schools to get better training and better education and then go back to Canada. And the last one, interestingly enough, there's in Italy. We've had some, when I was at Temple.
Well, a lot of soccer players over
there. But I was a dean at Temple and chief of surgery there for a while. And I sent one of my residents over to Rome to spend a month with one of the foot surgeons there. And they do a lot, actually, believe it or not. They do. They have a lot of foot problems there between soccer and things.
I guess the Spanish most likely have the fastest feet because they got to get away from them bulls. And them bulls are chasing and jumping, Whoa, man. Do you ever see them guys down in Spain? They must be goofy. They stand there and they challenge the bull. The bull's coming out and they jumping and push them up in the air. And, oh, my God. I don't know. I'd have to get paid to do that. And even
Well,
if I get paid, I wouldn't.
I was going to say, I don't know if I do it
forget about it,
being paid.
But they got to be pretty fast,
Pretty
you know.
fast and
maybe
pretty brave.
the foot doctors make a lot of money up there.
Possibly, yes, very possibly do.
So, all right, now, when you started as a foot doctor, I don't know what's the term?
Podiatrist or podiatric surgeon.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Podiatrist means pedal like a.
Podo means like from foot, from
Right.
Latin.
Right.
Podos.
The Latin word. Okay. Well, I remember that from 6th grade, I think it was.
You took Latin in 6th grade.
Yeah. So I was at Holy Savior School, right?
Well, you had to do it if you're in a Holy
Yeah.
Savior school.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you were an altar boy, you had to learn Latin.
Well, you had to learn with them nuns over there. I'm telling you, boy, you boom, pow. I mean, you talk about violence, you know. I mean, we had one sister there. I mean, you know, you make a false move. It's so fast. In fact, they call her Sister Mary Perpetual Pain. I mean, every time, pow, boom, ping, you know. So, but now, no more now.
That started your boxing career.
Yeah, that's how I became a boxer. That's why every time we go by, we bless ourselves, you know. So we bless so our hands are up high, you know. But you know, you stayed here in Norristown. Your office is right here in Norristown.
I decided I have very, very strong roots, Italian roots here. And you mentioned about going to Italy. I'm going back to Italy in July to visit the birthplace where my grandparents came here from Montella.
Yeah.
My dad's parents came from Montella, and my mom's parents came from Sciacca, Sicily.
That's where
where
my
you're
parents,
from.
yeah.
So next year I'm going back to Sciacca to visit Sciacca.
You've
But
been in Shaka before?
I've never been there yet.
Oh, I was there one time.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah. Very good.
But I want to get back to, they're having a monument constructed for the immigrants who left Montella. And I have my grandparents, I donated money to have their names placed within the monument.
that's
So I want to
nice.
be there for the dedication.
In other words, the people that left Montella to come to the United States.
To go anywhere in the world.
Uh-huh.
Anywhere in the world.
A lot of them went to South America.
You're right. Some went to South
Right,
America.
right.
Some went to Canada because I had relatives in Canada, and some came here.
And now, since we're talking about Italians, and we got to talk about food. What's your favorite dish?
Well, I love my pasta. I love my ravioli.
Oh, you cook? You
I
cook?
love to cook. I
All
love
right.
to cook. But when I go to an Italian restaurant, I like a very good bronzino, the Italian sea bass is a
Oh, yeah?
fish. And I like that grilled a certain way. And I sometimes make that at home, just put it on the grill.
Right. I like spaghetti and clam sauce. I
Very
make
good.
that. I like that, you know. And but nothing like spaghetti and meatballs, you know.
That's a standard, and everybody loves it. And
All right, now how about this new hospital coming up?
Yes.
Einstein, are you going to be working in there? Or
yes, I
how's-
will. I'll be involved with that also. The new hospital is set to open up in October.
Okay.
And actually September. They're ahead of schedule. I'm very
Right.
excited about it. Very, very
Okay.
excited.
Our half hour is over.
Already?
Okay. Dr. Vincent Mascarella.
Thank
and
you.
My friend, you're my safety patrol, you're my foot doctor, you're you know, and a great friend. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot for allowing us to come into your home, and you got yourself a doctor's visit right in the house, okay? So until we meet again, keep bobbing and weaving, and may God bless each and every one. And let's go here with Allah
Salute the
Zalud.
chin
Right.
down.
And here's a little token of appreciation, okay? And when I
grazie.
come in your office, I want to see that hanging there someplace.
You got front
Up there.
desk, right on the
Okay,
front desk.
Right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Adios, amigos.